Really, that's it. It's just depression. To see something that you've worked so hard to grow and build, and that years ago was a good business.
If we can't water, like say these trees, we're going to lose them. It's not easy to come back. At that point, I just give up. All of the people that work with us will be without a job.
This is not going to be grown. It didn't get grown last year, and it's not going to be grown this year. The California rice industry lost, between 100 and 140,000 acres of rice last year.
As a farmer, you always think that there's a better day coming. You always are optimistic about it's going to get better. I had really hoped that 2015 was going to be better than 2014, but now it looks like it's going to again be worse. It's hard to understand what the right answer is.
The extensive fields of California's Central Valley are the most important agricultural area in the USA. It is referred to as the fruit basket, the salad bowl, and the dairy outlet for the whole country. Half of all the fruit, vegetables, and nuts in the United States are produced here in California's Central Valley. Unfortunately, the worst drought in California's history currently threatens the agricultural sector. Local farmers are worried. How much surface water can they expect? How much of the land do they have to lay idle? How many farm workers will lose their jobs?
Right now, we don't have any water. We're out. On our ranch, we do not have a well. We're 100% reliant on the Friant, and with the zero allocation this year, we're completely out of water. At this point in time, there isn't any water from another source available. So we're hoping that somewhere down the road, somebody on the west side or something we can make a deal with and maybe buy some water at a higher price so we can stay alive another year.
Tarabella is a small agricultural village in the heart of California's citrus belt. Farmers here don't have access to groundwater, and many of them now have to leave sections or even whole orchards to die. Jeffrey risks losing more than half of his citrus orchard if there is not enough water to buy from other farmers.
If we don't get any water, trees will die. We'll basically be living on a open piece of ground. No trees. This is obviously the end result we as farmers don't want to see. A valuable commodity and such a precious resource end up like this it's just sad, very sad to see.
So this farm here that we're standing on has a zero allocation. We are able to water these trees with water we've saved up from years before. The other crops that are planted annually, like the melons and tomatoes, those are the crops that we will have to cut back planting on. Every 100 acres that we don't plant is about 1 million melons that we're losing. And we are planting now about 400 acres less melons than we were 6 years ago.
Joe's father is an immigrant from Mexico who worked his way up from low-paid seasonal worker to farm manager. Joe started to work at the ranch his father managed since he was 9 or 10 years old. After finishing his college education and years of hard work, Joe was able to buy his own 2,000-acre farm. Now the drought is forcing him to idle a third of his land in order to save his valuable almond orchard.
This drought is costing the farm, in terms of gross sales, millions of dollars per year. And if next year we have no water, we can't water these trees, we're going to lose all these almonds. That's a huge loss. Without any water, our hands are completely tied.
Sixth-generation farmer Michael Cannon lives in Los Baños together with his wife and 3 sons. He shoulders the responsibility of 11,000 acres of agricultural land. It is a demanding task at a time of water restrictions, constant new regulations, and environmental considerations. Michael has historic water rights which date back from long before the building of the Shasta Dam. Still, he had to fallow 15% of his fields last year. This is an area about the size of 1,000 soccer fields. This year, Michael has to fallow even more than last year.
They've said they're going to try to get us a 75% supply, but they've said not to rely on that. We're planning very much like last year, which is for about maybe 40% of the water that we will expect. I think it may even get worse because of the fact that there's no snowpack. We've been very conservative. We're fallowing more land, which is not going to be planted.
Rice farmer Mike Dado, to the north of Sacramento, is busy clearing the ground for planting. The farmers in this area have historical water rights from before the building of the Shasta Dam, which should secure them 75% of the water allocation. Still, The drought impacts Mike's operation.
It has kind of a mechanical problem where if the rivers are low, it physically cannot get water diverted for this ground, and that's what's impacted this. In a normal year, we have plenty of flows and at the right times to supply this ranch. But with the drought, at times we do have flows, but at times we don't, and so we just don't take the chance. And so that's why this is not going to be grown. It didn't get grown last year, and it's not going to be grown this year.
The reduction in labor is significant. We have about a third less payroll cost. That means that about 1/3 less has gone out in payroll checks to people.
How it's going to be less than before. Right now we work 7 days a week or 6. The water has come down, so it's going to be like 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. It's going to be worse. And the money for us to support our families.
Mendota is a town mainly constituted by farm workers. The drought has resulted in a high unemployment rate and economic loss for the inhabitants in the municipality.
What we have seen is because the amount of land that's in active cultivation has gone down. Over the last 4 years, the 4 years of the drought, we're seeing unemployment rates around 40%. There's a lot of people that are distressed in the community in terms of not being able to support their families, number one, but number two, not even being able to provide for their families in terms of food.
Emergency food supplies are distributed throughout the southern part of the Central Valley. In Farmersville, a small agricultural community dating back to the 1850s, Pastor Benavides says that the need for food help has increased from around 40 to 340 families in 2 years.
The need is great. We've gotten up to about 340 families every other week. So a lot of people that are out of work, and if you can see, there's a lot of seniors that come also. I think what we give them will make it out of the month.
And before I didn't have to resort to this because I had my job, but I had a 60% income drop and it was very hard for me. So now what they give here at the commodities, it helps out a lot. It really does. Having this, it's to be able to put food on the table.
I worry for the future for my children. I think they see me struggling with the business now, and I'm not sure that they'll want to continue. Now with the drought and maybe disruption from climate change, it's going to be a very difficult business.
We haven't done anything to adapt to climate change, which is something we know as farmers we have to do because we're already living it.
I keep hoping that next year we're going to get some snowpack to replenish the aquifers so we don't lose those. And I hope that we can get these canals flowing again and get back to doing what we know how to do and farm.